I'm Matt Dicken, and this is Strategic Wealth. Here's what's coming up on today's show. You know, Mark, we started doing them because I really wanted to get our message of safer money options to a much wider audience that we could maybe do on a one-on-one basis. You know, I really consider myself to be an educator. That's just a little bit of what you're going to see right now. Hello and welcome. Thank you once again for watching. This week we're going to use a little different format. I'm joined here with our executive producer, Mark Gaffney. Mark, why don't you tell everybody what we're going to be talking about today?
Matt, got a special show. This has really been brought to us by the people that watch. We have had so many people email in, regular snail mail, phone call. Who's Matt Dicken? Where did he come from? Where did he go to school? All these good things. So we figured we'd use today's show as sort of a who is Matt Dicken. So we've got a lot of great things in store today. And Matt, why don't we just kick it out right now? One of the biggest questions that we had from folks is, are you a native of Louisville, Kentucky?
Well, yeah, it's a question that we get quite often. Individuals want to know if we're based in Louisville and kind of what my background is. You know, I was born and raised in Louisville. I've lived here all my life, except for about 5 years. We lived up in Chicago when my dad had a job there. So from the time I was 9 to 14 years old, I was in Chicago. But other than that, I was born and raised here. Went to school here, lived here basically my entire life.
And I hear you're a Ballard boy, is that correct?
Correct, went to Ballard High School. You know, here in Louisville, I know you're not a native of Louisville, but in Louisville it's really more important. When someone asks you where did you go to school, usually they're asking what high school,
I've noticed that.
Not necessarily what college.
And I tell them Walter Pannis High School and people are like, huh? Where's that? A story for another time.
Yeah.
You know, I've known you for 4 years. We had a chance to meet at a conference in San Diego. And we chatted extensively, and I was shocked to hear how early in life you got a start in this industry. But the fact of the matter is, before you got your start in the industry, you knew you wanted to be in the financial services as a really young person. Why don't you tell our folks at home about that?
Yeah, you know, pretty much I always knew that I wanted to become a financial planner once I got out of school. And there's a story that my parents had shared with me. I think I was maybe around 11 or 12 years old. I'm not quite sure how old I was. But I went to him and I asked him a question. I said, you know, what's going on? I had a couple friends whose fathers worked at the same. Yeah, their fathers worked at the same company. Both their mothers were stay-at-home moms, and both their fathers did basically the same job. And what I had noticed is when I was in one household, you know, they never stressed over money. If the car broke down, they had money to get it fixed. You know, when my friends needed new shoes, their parents went out and bought them new shoes, things like that. But the other family, it seemed like money was always an issue. They were always arguing about money, and
no, nobody ever argues about money.
Right?
That could never happen.
I kind of went home and I asked my parents. I said, "What's going on? I don't understand. What's happening here?" And my parents basically told me, "Well, Matt, probably what's happening is one family budgets and plans and saves, and the other family probably just spends everything that they earn. So when an emergency comes along, the car breaks down or something of that nature, they don't have the money to get it fixed." So they told me what I did is I went away, and a couple hours later I came back and I said, okay, I've got an idea for the family that doesn't budget and plan and save. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start a company. When they get their paychecks, they can send
and by the way, you were how old when you were doing this?
I was 11 or 12, okay? I said when they get paid, they can send their paychecks to me. I'll pay all of their bills. I'll give them an allowance, you know, because I was getting an allowance, so I'll give them a spending allowance each week or each month. And I'll make sure I set some money aside in savings and things of that nature for them, and I'll charge them a small fee to do this. And my parents kind of looked at me and smiled, and they said, well, Matt, that's a really great idea. However, we don't really think anybody's going to turn their money over to an 11 or a 12-year-old. But they said what you're discussing is a lot like what it sounds like what a financial planner does. So I kind of looked at them and I said, okay, well, that's what I want to do. So from that point forward, I started reading everything that I could find about investing, the history of the economy, the history of the stock market. Started watching things like CNBC and other financial news programs to start to...
Which, by the way, that's normal teen behavior in my book.
All right, yeah. So, you know, everything that I did, both as a child and once I got into high school, was really geared towards being able to become a financial planner once I was done with my education.
And you actually got your start in the industry when you were 18 years old.
Yeah.
You were in college and you were actually doing your classes in the day, right? Or splitting your classes up during the week, and also seeing clients and potential clients That's a pretty rigorous schedule.
Right, yeah. I was busy. When I was 18, I was offered an internship with a large financial services company because, again, a lot of what I did in high school was geared towards being able to become a financial planner once I was out of college. So I won things like the stock market game. I was President of the Year for Future Business Leaders of America. I was President of the Year for Junior Achievement, things like that. So that actually gave me the opportunity to get a jump start on my career. I didn't know that it would happen, but basically the second semester of my freshman year in college, I got my licenses and I started to build a practice. So I would work part-time during the school year, full-time during the summer, until I got to the point where I was kind of working full-time and going to school full-time. So I stayed busy. It was funny. I would wear a suit and go to class. I would run back and forth between my office, which was located downtown at the time. So I got a really early start because I think really at a pretty early age I knew that this is what I wanted to do.
And did you ever think it would come to having a radio show and a TV show and tens of thousands of consumers coming out every year to see you for your seminars?
Yeah, I never could have imagined that it would come to this point. I always had a goal of being able to help as many people as I could have successful retirements. So I'm just really fortunate that it's worked out this way.
All right, everybody, stick around. We got lots of great stuff to come. We're going to go in depth with Matt Dicken. Folks, you're watching Strategic Wealth with Matt Dicken. It's Smart Money Television. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Strategic Wealth with Matt Dicken. This is a special episode that we're doing right now where we're going to be interviewing our host, Matt Dicken, for the balance of the show today. Matt, let me get started. I've had the opportunity to spend a lot of time with your lovely wife, Colleen. Your story is both your stories, because you built this business together, and I think if we did today's show and we didn't spend a little time or a lot of time talking about Colleen, that would be a true disservice. So I will throw it to you. How'd you guys meet?
Yeah, well, I've been married to my beautiful wife, Colleen, since the year 2000. And it's kind of a funny story how we met. She actually became a client before we got engaged and ultimately married. But kind of the story goes is I went to a party at a mutual friend's house. And as soon as I walked into the house, there was this beautiful woman that really caught my eye. And I kind of said to myself, I said, wow, I've got to find an opportunity to try and talk to her a little bit here tonight. So a little later in the evening, basically what happened is the host that had us there at their house came out and said that they'd run out of cups or ice or something like that and asked if anybody could run up to the store to get more. So basically what I did is I volunteered and I said, sure. I stood up and I said, I'll run up to the store. And I kind of turned to the group, and we were in a big, great room. There's a lot of people inside of it. And I turned to the group and I said, is there anybody here that would like to come with me? And about that time, this beautiful young woman that I really wanted to talk to is in the back of the room. And what she did is, I'll never forget it, I literally saw her jump up out of her chair. She kind of came running across the room. She kind of elbowed a couple people to get them out of the way. And right up in front of me was a coffee table. And she literally jumped over the coffee table. She landed in front of me and said, Matt, if it's not too much trouble, I would love to go with you. Okay?
Hey, let me ask you, if we asked her the story, would it be the same?
She might remember it a little differently, okay? But it's my show, it's my story, right? So this is how I remember it. So, of course, I said, sure, no problem. We were driving to the store, and we started to talk about what it was that we were wanting to do or doing for a living. And I was already in the career for a few years, and Colleen was studying to become an electrical engineer at speed school there at the University of Louisville. So she said she had some extra money in her checking account that she wanted to invest in a Roth IRA. So basically what I did is I said, well, there's all kinds of things you can do with a Roth IRA. Why don't we go to dinner and I'll tell you all about it. So that was kind of our first business meeting or date. I fell in love with her very, very quickly, and I think within a couple of years of that first meeting, we were actually engaged and then, ultimately married back in 2000.
Well, I love Colleen, and I'll tell you, you guys do some great work in the community with your charities. One in particular that I think we should focus on today, and that's the Animal Care Society. And you've really got a number of stories here, and and I'll just start out by telling the viewers that your dog Mike, that's a very special story, and also for, well, I'm not going to steal any of your thunder, Matt. Why don't you tell them about the Animal Care Society?
Yeah, we have several charities that we're passionate about. Obviously, there's the animal charities. We have children's charities and basically, veteran charities as well. But we have two dogs, Mercedes and Mike. Mercedes was adopted many years ago as a surprise present for my wife, Colleen. But Mike's got kind of a special story because he was actually a Hurricane Katrina survivor. We, in the past, have done some fostering for sick animals or at-risk animals, and after the hurricane, they brought him back. They said that he needed to go into a really special home because he had a really bad infection, was really sick, way underweight, and they said he needs to go into a special home, and when we can get him healthy, he'll go out on the adoption floor. So we brought him into the house. It took well over a year to get him healthy. He was pretty bad. But I'll never forget it because we went back to the doctor that last time and they said, well, you know what, you did it. I don't know how you did it, but you did it. He's perfectly healthy. We're going to put him on the adoption floor today. And we kind of looked at the doctor and said, well, you know, wait a minute. We've had him for over a year. We really like him. Our other dog kind of likes him. I think we'd like to take him back home. And that doctor looked at me and said, well, that's kind of what we were hoping you were going to say today anyway. So that's how we ended up with our second dog. But yeah, we like to give back to the community, and we have those 3 different areas or those 3 different charities that we're really passionate about.
And let's face the facts here, Mercedes rules the roost.
She does, yeah.
You know, Mike's a bigger dog, but Mercedes rules the roost.
She's in charge. She's
you
in
know,
charge.
and speaking about your passions, Matt, we really need to talk about racing. And I'm going to tell a funny story real quick here. When I moved here, you know, you took me for a ride on some of the back roads, and I really felt like I needed a harness and a helmet. And when I had asked you to slow down, you looked at me and said, I drive my mother faster than this. And I felt bad. But anyway, let's talk about the racing.
Yeah, you know, I love what I do for a living, but obviously everybody, no matter what you do, you need some sort of an escape. And I've always been drawn to cars. I've always been really passionate about cars. So a few years back, I had the opportunity to start to get my racing licenses and start to do that. When I have time here and there, you know, we stay pretty busy, so I don't get to do as much of it as I would like, but it's something that I really enjoy, being able to go out on a racetrack that's a controlled atmosphere where you can just basically drive as fast as your skills will allow you to do so. So it's something that I really enjoy doing.
Talking about racing, we are racing rapidly to the break right now, so folks, stick around. We got lots of great stuff to come. You're watching Strategic Wealth with Matt Dicken. It's Smart Money Television. Hi everybody, and welcome back to Strategic Wealth with Matt Dicken. For those of you just tuning in right now, we're doing a very special episode where I'm actually interviewing the host, Matt Dicken. And due to all of your phone calls and your letters and your emails, there were so many questions about Matt. Where did he come from? Who is he? So, Matt, let's get right in it, and we'll talk about your particular practice. You decided to go out on your own early on when you could have made a very successful living with one of the large companies in town. What is it that made you want to go out and start your own firm?
Well, that's probably a pretty good question. You know, I had mentioned earlier that I started as an intern just at the age of 18, and I had a lot of success pretty early on. So even though I was young, I started getting moved up into management positions, and what was basically happening was the higher that I moved up in the organization, the more they would kind of sit me down and they would say, okay, now let's tell you how it really works, right. Okay? And I started to learn pretty quickly that a lot of the advice that we were giving at this firm, and again, it was a major financial services firm, a lot of the advice that we were trained to give and the other advisors were given in the office was really geared towards what would make the company and maybe the regional managers or supervisors the most amount of money. So a lot of our advice that we were being trained to give was really geared towards not necessarily what was in the client's best interest, but what was in the firm's best interest. So when you work for a large firm, and I'm not picking on the one that I started with, but when you work for a large firm, you know, you have things like that happen. You have quotas, you have pressure to maybe recommend things that you wouldn't ordinarily want to recommend to a client, but that's because you are representing that firm. You have to do what they tell you to do. If not, you know, they can pull your book of business from you. They can ask you to leave. There's all kinds of bad things that can happen to you. So I looked at it and I got into the industry and wanted to be in this career to really be able to help people. And in helping people, I wanted to have freedom to be able to do what was in their best interest. So I started to look around when I made the decision that I needed to leave where I was after 5 years. I started to look around and I found that, well, all the firms kind of operated like this particular one. So I decided that I needed to go out on my own and start my own company so I could give true, unbiased, independent advice to the client. So we don't have quotas, we don't have a supervisor looking over our shoulder saying you got to sell so much of this product or that product. We're free and able to just help the client with anything that they might need that might be suitable for their particular situation. You
know, we had the opportunity to meet way back when in San Diego, and I know at that time you were doing a speaking circuit that was kind of coast to coast, and you were mentoring financial advisors, you were mentoring CPAs, and that's how we had the opportunity to meet each other. But one of the things that I thought was interesting is that you were teaching these other CPAs and financial advisors about techniques that revolve around safe money, and this is really your niche. being a safer money specialist. And I think a lot of people today would hear that and say, what is that?
Yeah,
what does a
that
safer
mean?
money specialist mean?
Yeah.
And in this economy, I think it's important that people know what that is.
Yeah, basically what we do is the majority of the time, the majority of our clients that we can help are going to be those that are retired or soon to be retired, meaning they're within about 5 to 10 years of retiring. And I really believe at that point in your lives, you have to take less risk with your money. You have to move the majority or a good portion of your retirement assets into a safer environment because you don't have the time to make up for market drops like we've seen in the past and will certainly be seen again in the future. Now, a lot of times when you start to talk about safety or low risk or less risk, individuals will start to think, well, gosh, CDs aren't paying much in interest or a money market's not paying very much, so you can't earn any reasonable returns in that environment, and that's really not true. You can have your money in a safer position, but still see it grow at a reasonable return. When you go into retirement, you can't really afford to lose your principal. You can't risk losing your principal because, again, you don't have time to make up for market losses. But you also need to see your money grow at a reasonable return to keep up with inflation over time. So you need to have a return that allows you to take a withdrawal if you need a monthly or an annual income. But you can't withdraw all of your interest because your purchasing power over time will be depleted. So you have to earn 2, 3, maybe 4 percentage points every year above and beyond inflation. You can do that typically in a safer environment, and you don't necessarily have to take a lot of risk with your money in order to get there. So it's like you mentioned, it's kind of a specialty. It's a niche area that I think is really appropriate for those that are retired or soon to be retired.
Matt, I've had an opportunity to meet a bunch of your clients. I always love mentioning Judy Gertis, and I know that her story, not unlike a lot of other clients, is kind of the reason you're in the business. So let me ask you, why is it you do what you do?
I think it's really just a passion to help as many people as we can. On the radio show, here on this TV show, in the educational classes that we do, we mention all the time, we cannot help everybody. I wish I could, but we just can't. But basically what will happen is maybe once a month or several times a month, I'll meet with somebody that there's just nothing that we can do. Their retirement planning isn't working for them, but at this point it's just too late. The mistakes were made 5, 10, 15 years ago. We can't help them. So we'll see it all the time as individuals get into their 70s, maybe into their 80s. Their money didn't keep up with inflation, maybe due to having too much risk. They've actually lost money, so they can't take the income like they used to be able to take from their accounts. And it's usually a client that will bring someone like that to me, and it'll be maybe their parent or an aunt or a neighbor or something like that. And they'll come into the office and they'll say, I work with Matt, he's going to help you, he's going to fix this, okay? He helped me, he'll fix this for you. And a lot of times I'll have the unpopular job of having to tell them, once we look at things, saying, there's really nothing we can do. There's no attractive alternatives. You got to go get a job, you got to cut your standard of living. Sometimes at that point it's just too late. That still bothers me today. Early in my career, it used to really bother me. I couldn't sleep at night when I would meet with individuals like that. And it still bothers me, but what I'm trying to do at this point is just help prevent as many people as I can from finding themselves in that scenario. I want to prevent as many people as I can from getting into their 70s and 80s and find themselves in a situation where they're running out of money. So that's why we keep doing what we're doing. We can't help everybody, but we're going to try and help as many people as we can. Now, Mark, the good news is that the vast majority of the time we can help individuals. In my career so far, we've been able to help over 1,200 individuals with their retirement and investment planning. So we hate it when we see situations where we can't help, but the truth is the majority of the time there is something that can be done, and we want to help as many people as we can.
Well, Matt, it's always good to end on a good note. And stick around. We're going to be talking about a few more things, not least of which in the next segment. We're going to talk about seminars. We're going to talk about the radio show. We're going to talk about what we're doing right now, the television show. Folks, stick around. Strategic Wealth with Matt Dicken. It's Smart Money Television. Hi, and welcome back to Strategic Wealth with Matt Dicken. Very special episode where we're actually interviewing the host, Matt Dicken. Matt, for the last 5, 6, 7 years, you've been doing seminars, and I think the number is that in that time you've had over 10,000 people come out and see you. So why don't you talk about why did you want to start doing seminars to get your word out?
Mark, we started doing them because I really wanted to get our message of safer money options to a much wider audience that we could maybe do on a one-on-one basis. I really consider myself to be an educator, and it's great when we run our seminars or financial class, whatever you'd like to refer to them as, because we can have 40 or 50 or 60 people at a time that we can educate on the fact that there are safer ways to grow your money at a reasonable rate of return. You know, the vast majority of individuals in this country today are failing to have a successful retirement. But in most cases, there's things that you can do to save or rescue your retirement. Most of the time, it's not too late. But you just need to be aware of maybe some alternatives that haven't been brought to your attention in the past. So in the seminars, we get to talk about the history of the economy, the history of the stock market. We talk about safer money investing and what that means. We'll talk a little bit about mutual funds and, you know, stock market risk, ways to potentially reduce fees and expenses on your accounts, things you can do to maybe save yourself some money in taxes and reduce the tax burden that you have each year. So we touch on a lot of different things. Try and have a little bit of fun with it, but really what I'm trying to do is give as much good education as I can. It's something that I've really done throughout my entire career. You know, it used to be we would only have maybe 10 or 15 or 20 people that would come out and hear me talk, but I believe at this point we've had over 10,000 individuals that have come through the seminars. We're having 1,000 or 2,000 that are coming out each and every year, and it's just a really good feeling to know that we've been able to help a lot of individuals, whether they're clients of the firm or not. You know, we've been able to help a lot of individuals, get them to think about things they might not have thought about in the past.
Well, I'll tell you what, these complimentary dinner seminars are something else. I've had the opportunity to sit in on a lot of them, but more importantly, I hear the feedback. I see the emails that are coming in as the producer, and you do so many positive things for so many people, and you know, like you say, you might just pick up one thing, and that changes the whole complexion of your retirement.
Right.
You know, Matt, let's talk about radio, because from the seminars that started, there was, you know, you've always wanted to get the word out a little bit further. And well, the next step was putting a radio show together. And it's been over 2 years now that you've been on the air.
Right.
So why did you want to get into radio?
Well, the simple matter of the fact is that not everybody can attend a seminar. Or maybe not everybody wants to attend a seminar. You know, it can sometimes be a little intimidating to sit in a room with 40 or 50 or 60 other people. So I think that the radio show has been another avenue where we can reach more people. On a weekly basis, we have thousands and thousands of listeners that are getting educated on retirement planning and what it takes to have a successful retirement. So it was just another way of trying to educate the public on things they should do, questions they should ask their current financial advisor, questions they should ask themselves. We get to discuss all things financial. You know, on the radio show, we get to talk about retirement planning, investments, taxes, politics, sports. You know, we talk a little bit about everything.
Absolutely.
And it's just really good that from the comfort of their home, individuals can hear what we have to say, as well as go to our website and listen to past shows. You know, even though we're on Saturday mornings, not everybody can listen to the show live, but we have a lot of individuals that have told me that they listen to it at some point during the week via our website, so they can listen to it at their leisure and make sure that they didn't miss anything if they couldn't hear us when it airs live.
And I'll tell you, it's a great library. It's got 2 years of shows in it, and I remember when we first got started, we were on Monday nights to get that started. It was a half-hour show, and we thought, well, man, what are we going to talk about for 30 minutes?
Right.
And then, of course, it's blossomed into a full-hour show now, Saturday mornings on Talk Radio 1080 WKJK at 11:05. And Matt, the natural progression from there, you know, the word started to get out. There were some talks with WHS 11, and here we are now with a Sunday morning program on WHS 11 every morning at 10 a.m., every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. What brought you to the point to say, you know what, I think it's time to bring the message to the airwaves of television?
Yeah, what was happening is we had a lot of appearances on WHAS 11 News, and then also a lot of appearances on their new show, Great Day Live. And we were approached by the station to come in and fill this particular time slot because they felt like the advice that we gave was unique. It was usually timely and pertinent. And they thought, well, hey, you know, when we have segments on the news or on Great Day Live, you know, it's just a few minutes. But we would get a lot of phone calls into the office from individuals wanting more information and saying, hey, I heard Matt mention this particular thing. I need more education. I need more info. So having a 30-minute show allows us, obviously, to go into more detail. And once again, it's another avenue to get our message out to a much wider audience, to help as many people as we possibly can. Not everybody wants to attend a seminar. Not everybody can listen to a weekly radio show. But here, once again, you can watch the show live or via our website. If you've missed any of our past TV shows, they're all on AskMattDicken.com. So you can, again, watch them 24/7 at your leisure. But it's another way of getting our message out there. I've been in the business since 1997, and I've had a lot of people over the years tell me, wow, where were you 5 years ago or 10 years ago? I wish I had met you earlier. And the good news is when they do meet me, we can kind of fix things and help them have a successful retirement moving forward. But we're basically trying to get our message out there to as many people as we can. So between having classes and having a TV show and a radio show, I think it's kind of hard to miss us at this point. So that's why we wanted to take on this opportunity.
How do you have a life?
Yeah.
You see clients in between there. You are one busy man.
Yeah.
You know, Matt, there's something really important that I want to share with everyone, because a lot of people feel, hey, there's a lot of places I could put my money, but who can I trust? Who can I go to that I can genuinely trust? And I want to let everyone know at home that Matt is a member of a very special and unique organization. There are over 1,000 financial professionals in Greater Louisville that you can choose to do business with, but only 8 of them are members of the very prestigious National Ethics Association. Matt, why don't you tell our viewers about that?
Yeah, you know, Mark, the problem is everybody has heard of Bernie Madoff, but unfortunately there's other crooks and criminals that are out there looking to rip people off. There's a lot of people that are especially targeting seniors. So it's hard to determine who can you believe and who can you trust. But if you work with a member of the National Ethics Association, you're going to know that person's background has been vetted and that they are free and clear of any of these horrible things that you hear about and read about all too often. So as a member, we go through spot checks throughout the year. Once every 12 months, we go through a full-blown background check. If anything were to change, we would lose our membership. So what this means basically is I've been in the business since 1997. We've helped over 1,200 clients. If I had ever been sued by a client for something not working out the way I said it was going to work out, I couldn't be a member. If I'd ever had a complaint filed against me for something not going the way I said it was going to go, I wouldn't be able to be a member. We get audited by regulators in our industry all the time. If I were ever fined or sanctioned, suspended, let's say I had a slap on the wrist for a minor infraction, I couldn't be a member of the National Ethics Association. They take it a step further. They look at my personal life. So if I had ever had any convictions in my past for fraudulent use of a credit card or a check, having a DUI, having a company that filed bankruptcy or a judgment or a lien filed against me, any of those types of things will prevent somebody from being a member. So this is why, like you said, Greater Louisville area, over 1,000 financial professionals to choose from. As of today, there's 8 of us in the community that are members of the association. We're proud to be one of those 8. The bottom line is we do what's right up front, so we don't have any of those horrible things that you hear about and read about all too often. We take ethics very, very seriously.
Matt, thanks so much. If you'd like to get more information about Matt and his practice, it's real simple. Just go to askmattdicken.com. And of course, we encourage you to tune in with us every weekend, Saturday morning on WKJK Talk Radio at 11:05 a.m. or right here, Sunday mornings on WHAS at 10 a.m. Matt, any final thoughts?
No, Mark, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing it. Hopefully all of our listeners and viewers here to the TV show have been able to learn a little bit more about myself. And we've answered the question of why am I doing this and why do we have a TV show? So folks, be sure to tune in again next week. And remember, retirement planning is a journey, not a destination. We'll see you next time.